Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second live stream of the day. If you're just now joining us, thank you for joining us. We just got done with adding and subtracting fractions, so now we're going to do how to multiply and divide fractions. So let's just get into it. So first we're going to start with multiplying fractions, all right? So we have 2/5 times 7/8. Now when you're multiplying fractions, all you do is multiply across. It's literally all you do. So you multiply the numerators and you multiply the denominators. Let me not kick the board here. So 2 times 7 is 14. 5 times 8 is 40. And then you reduce. If you don't know or your student doesn't know where to start, but they know that somehow this can be reduced, and if both numbers are even numbers, you can start with 2. So let's just start with 2 as an example. When you reduce, whatever number you use to divide, you have to use the same number for the top and for the bottom. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. 40 divided by 2 is 20. Can we reduce it anymore? Nope. How do I know that off bat? Because 7 is an odd number, 20 is an even number. I can't do that. So we're done. So that's the answer. Okay? It's pretty straightforward. Multiplying fractions is pretty straightforward. Even when you get into mixed fractions and things like that, it's pretty straightforward. So let's do another example just to have 2. All right? So we're going to do 5/6 times 10. All right, if you did not know, all whole numbers have a 1 underneath it. We just forego that one. We just don't put that one because it's not necessary, but all whole numbers have a 1 underneath it. So if you are multiplying fractions and you see a whole number, just go ahead and write that 1 so that you can visually follow the steps. Just makes it easier. So then, just like last time, we're going to multiply across. 5 times 10 is 50. 6 times 1 is 6. Okay? So, you need to check, is it a proper fraction? No, it's an improper fraction. How do we know that? Because the numerator is bigger than the denominator, and I am cheating right now, so you saw me get my calculator, because in order to turn this into a proper fraction, we have to see how many times 6 goes into 50. So I am just going to do quick 50 divided by 6, and that's 8 point something. So we're going to do 8 because that's the amount of times that whole 6 can go into 50. So that means we have 8. And then how many do we have left over? So 6 times 8 is 48, right? So we had 50 and we took away 48 because that's where this 8 comes from. So then we have 2 left. So the 2 becomes the numerator, and then the denominator stays the same. Hopefully I didn't lose you guys in what I just did, but there'll be another example, so just hold on. So then we have 8 and 2, 6. Now we're not done because I see a fraction with 2 even numbers. That means that we can reduce it some more. So we're going to divide both by 2. Okay? So then we have 2 divided by 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So then we have 8 and 1/3. If you notice, when we're reducing this fraction, it does not touch the whole number at all. You're just reducing the fraction. So we have 8 and 1/3. Are we done? Yep, because 1 and 3 are odd numbers, and you can't reduce an odd number. Yeah, you can. So we have odd and odd, you're done. All right, so that's our answer for the second one. So multiplying fractions, pretty straightforward. Just multiply across, even if you have different denominators. Okay? So it's pretty straightforward. So now let's jump into dividing fractions, which is a little bit, we have one extra step other than what we just did. But then other than that, it's pretty straightforward also. So hopefully when you see me do it, it becomes a little bit more clear. So we're dividing 8 divided by 1/3. Now, just like before, we have a whole number. let's go ahead and put the 1 underneath it so that we can visually see 2 fractions, okay? So what you do is you take the second fraction and you flip it, all right? So then this now becomes, I'm just going to draw an arrow because we're transforming it, 8 over 1 times, or the dot equals times and the x equals times 2, but I'll just put the x. So we flip this, so now it becomes 3 over 1. Make sense? Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So, yes, it does. I was just double checking something. Hopefully that makes sense. So you flip the second fraction. If we had this. Okay, so this is the original problem, and I just switched the positions of the fractions. You would still flip the second one. Okay, so we have 1/3 times 1 over 8. Okay, now you're going to get a different answer, which proves the point that you need to make sure you are writing the problem the way they give you in the book, okay? Because this is not going to give you the same answer as this. Let's just see. So we know that since we're multiplying now, we're just, make sure I'm still in frame. We're just going to multiply across. So 8 times 3 is 24. 1 times 1 is 1. So of course, without the 1, it's just 24, right? But here, so we're going to multiply across because we're still multiplying fractions. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 8 is still 24, but we get 1/24. That is not the same as 24. So this proves why it is important you write the problem exactly how they gave it to you, especially when you're dividing fractions. Because you can come up with we have all the same numbers. You know what I mean? Like the fractions are still the same. We have 8 over 1, 8 over 1. We have 1/3, 1/3. Just the position is different, and you get a whole different answer. So make sure you're writing it in the way that the book, the worksheet, your teacher, whoever's giving you the problem, make sure you do it, solve it the exact same setup that they give it to you, okay? So, I know we just did a lot, so let's just review real quick before we go do another one. So our problem originally was 8 divided by 1/3. So we put the 1 under the 8 because 8 is a whole number, and that's how you can make any whole number a fraction, is by putting 1 underneath it. And so we have to transform it in order to multiply. We have to flip the second fraction. So you have 8 over 1 times 3 over 1, because 1 over 3, flip, 3 over 1, okay? Then it equals 24 over 1, which just equals 24, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. I just wanted to show you how if you don't solve it the way that they give it to you, you can come up with a different answer. And that's where this second one is coming from. But let's erase this. Start from a clean slate. And we'll do another division one, only because division has that extra step in it. Okay, let's do 3/4 divided by 2/3. Okay, so our first step is to flip the second fraction. So it transforms to 3/4 times, we're going to flip it. So now 3 is the numerator where it was the denominator, and 2 becomes the denominator where it was the numerator. Okay? And so now, since we're just multiplying fractions, we just multiply across. That was my mic. Sorry. So 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 2 is 8. Are we done? We are not. Sorry, I'm picking up my mic. Because we have an improper fraction. So that means that our numerator is bigger than our denominator. So we need to fix that. So we're going to see how many times 8 goes into 9. Once. Goes in there once. So then how many do we have left over? We have 1 left over. So the leftover or the remainder becomes the numerator, and the denominator stays the same. Okay? I'm going to adjust a little bit. My arms are short. I hope you can still see that. I think you can. Okay. I think you can. Yes. So our answer is 1 1/8. Most of the time, if you have an improper fraction, your child's teacher, is probably going to ask you to make it into a proper fraction. Most of the time. But, so if they do, that's how you do it. I would say there's no harm in making it a whole number, or I'm sorry, proper fraction anyway with the whole number. Just as a heads up, most of the time they're going to ask you to make an improper fraction a proper fraction, and then once it's a proper fraction, you are all the way done. Okay? All right, let's do another one. Let's do, we just did 3/4. Okay, let's do this one. 1/3 by 2/9. All right? So we're dividing. First step is to flip the second fraction. So the first fraction stays the same. We're multiplying now. We're going to flip it. So the 9 is on top, the 2 is on the bottom. The 9 becomes the numerator, the 2 becomes the denominator. And then we're just going to multiply across. 1 times 9 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. Are we done? Nope. Why? Because we can reduce that. So we're going to reduce it. Then we're going to change it. We'll see. We still need to change it into an improper fraction. Let me stop here. I'm choosing to reduce it first because I can clearly see that 3 goes into both 9 and 6. So I'm going to reduce it first and then turn it into a proper fraction with the whole number. Can you turn it to a proper fraction first? You can. I'm just choosing to reduce it because I can see right now that if I divide both numbers by 3, it will reduce until I can't reduce anymore. Okay? So we're going to divide by 3. What you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. 9 divided by 3, is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So we have an improper fraction. So now we can see how many times does 2 go into 3? Once. How many are left over? Just 1. And then what's the denominator? It's 2. So our answer is 1 1/2. Okay? Now, let's say I wanted to turn this into a proper fraction first and then reduce. Let's see if we get the same answer. All right. I'm going to write it over here. So 6 goes into 9 how many times? Once. How many is left over? 3. What's the denominator? 6. Are we done? Nope, because you can reduce 3/6. We know that 3 goes into 3 and 3 goes into 6. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So our answer is 1/2. Still the same. However, sometimes it's easier to reduce and then transform it, but it just depends. But as you can see, you come up with the same answer. So as far as that step goes, you can reduce it first, then turn it into a mixed fraction, or you can turn it into a mixed fraction first and then reduce. You should get the same answer. All right? Let's see. Let's just do one more because then we'll be done. We'll be done with multiplying and dividing fractions. All right, let's do 3/4 divided by 6. All right, so we have a whole number. So we're going to put it over 1. Then we're going to transform it because we now need to flip the second fraction. So the first fraction stays the same. We have 3/4 times. We're going to flip. We're going to flip. So the 1 is on top and the 6 is on the bottom. And then we're going to multiply across. So then we have 3 over 24. See that? Is that reduced? No, it's not. 3 goes into 24 how many times? 8. So we're going to divide both numbers by 3. I'm just going to write it down here. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 24 divided by 3 is 8. So our answer is 1/8. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. If you get how to divide, divide fractions, you'll get how to multiply fractions, because you multiplying fractions is a step in dividing fractions. Just like if you get how to multiply fractions, you can divide fractions. Because the only difference is that with dividing, you're flipping the second fraction. When you're just multiplying across. But in dividing, you still end up multiplying across. So, yeah. So you can do it. Thank you so much for watching our live stream on how to multiply and divide fractions. If you have any other questions about this, please let us know, either down below or soon. If you're watching this live, there will be a link to where you can submit your questions on our website. Or if you have any other questions about math or any other subject that your students are working on right now, you can submit it there. Also, right now we're just doing the math videos, but we have other videos coming. We have some comprehension videos coming, some reading videos coming, and some science videos coming. All to our YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to that. That link will be listed down below also in 1 second. So without further ado, I think we're done. So, Mr. Telephone, can you play us out? I'll see you guys later. Bye.